was 22-year-old Fabio Bartolotta, an individual with strong family ties to defendants convicted in connection with the Pizza Connection narcotics distribution case of the 1980s.
Shop in the Ridgewood section of Queens who have engaged in numerous armed robberies and other violent crimes across Queens County over the past.
And it's a shame I'm not the man I used to
Hello and welcome back to 52 Topics with Frank Fiorellino. Ridgewood, A True Story. Season 3, Episode 1. Menahan and Cypress. So Frank, we're on to Season 3. The last imagery that our audience saw was the death of Sam DeFalco. So what's going on, man?
At this point, I'm about 22 years old. Am I 20? Yeah, 92. 22. So I'm working at Giannini's still, and I'm like confused. I'm trying to get my own identity. There's things going around, the neighborhood. Kenny got killed the year before. Sam's getting killed. The cops are coming around Giannini's asking questions right after he disappeared because they knew he was part owner. You had that. And I was trying to get away from the area. It was just a little bit too much. Paul, Vito, Fob had their clique. Ralph was still around, just doing his thing. And I just didn't have a clique. But I knew that my family's part of the Menahan family since a long time. And I had an ally in Joe Grimaldi. So Joe Grimaldi is a friend of mine. He's Vito Grimaldi's son, the late Vito Grimaldi. And we pal around a lot. We've been palling around at this point. There's my friend Nat Muley. He also is palling with us too. And there's another kid that pals with us too a little bit now and then. There's this kid F.A. who's friends with Paul and friends with me. More with me though.
This is kind of I don't know. Is this more a mature crowd for you? Not as wild?
No, it's different. So if you take Paul, we were all in the same age group, but he's kind of losing touch with us, the kids we grew up with. We've always been friends. When that wouldn't change if at that point if any of us needed something, we would ask for each other. But at the same time, it didn't work out in a business way. You understand what I mean? You had more control, I think, with the younger group. I'm pretty sure that's how it went. And that was Fabio's age group. Anthony, who's now in jail. We talked about Anthony Tabito. He's in jail serving 4 years. And then comes Vito, and there was always that kind of tug of war between them because Paul always felt that who's ever doing the bulk of the work, robbing, stealing, killing, those are majority Paul's guys, not the ones that just got away. So from there, I'm starting to get sick of Giannini's, and I start venturing away. So when I venture away, Joe Grimaldi's dad, Vito, has a coffee shop, not by name. There's somebody running it, this guy named Frank Cutuogno. Now, Frank Cutuogno is this guy, I start laughing, I can't help it, is the guy with, that's my uncle, remember?
Right. Shout out to Mob Facts. So that's the guy that, I guess after the Galante hit, he's like, I'll tell you about it later. Something. We'll play the clip.
Who he was going to eat lunch with today?
No, he stopped every day for coffee.
He stopped in here every day for coffee?
He don't know nothing. It's like this. I can talk. If you catch me later, I do everything. No, not half an hour, 1 hour. I told you everything you want. Right now.
Right. So he owns a coffee shop, but you could own a coffee shop, but you got to be around somebody. So he wasn't around Vito technically, but he had Vito's machines, Vito Grimaldi's machines on Cypress and Fresh Pond. Not Cypress and Menahan, take that back. So that's where Joe would go sometimes. He'd come out from Long Island. I'd go meet up with him. Either we go out for drinks, we hang out. We were getting closer. If he was going to do some work at the bakery, and that was it was a cool place because a lot of people that hung out there, ironically, were from my town. You know, you have the James Bucciolato's uncle, or Cutuogno Bucciolato would hang out there. You had a lot of guys, not necessarily in the mud, but a lot of Castello Maris. And I felt like I was always family when I went there. And Joe being a Trabanese too, from Santa Niva, he had those were the people that mostly went to that place. It was the people from that province. So we hung out, and it was a fun time. Nat, which I mentioned, was still around the Patsy Conti's crew. And Joe DeLeo and him were really good, close buddies. But Joe DeLeo was having a problem at that time with his Uncle John. And there was a tug of war between who was going to get Joe. Joe was an up-and-comer. He was, before he lost his mind. But he had that aura about him. We called him the Duke. That was his nickname, because if you met him the first time, you had to bet your money that he was a made guy. Had the glasses, he would walk into a room. But anyway, he's getting in with his uncle because his uncle feels that Joe's taking Enzo Polaris' side, who's one of Patsy Conti's most trusted goons. So that's going on. So that's like, you know what? I'm always in the middle of that shit. Let me get the fuck away. Not so much to switch sides, but just to get the fuck away. It was exhausting for him. We got Nat, we got this clique, and we go out now and then. Like one night, right? This is great. This is where my gun game starts coming into play. We go, what do you mean? With everything that's going on, people are starting to get on their toes. You know, if you're gonna be around things, you better fucking start carrying a gun with you. So one night, my brother Joe, he's got this 325. He's ready to burn because he doesn't like it. BMW. He goes, you know what? Just take it. I had a Trans Am. I'm like, I don't know, going to the city. I said, okay, you know what? Going to 325. It was like an 88. This was around 92. You know, you impress the girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let me ask you something about, because to me it's so foreign, right? Throughout this series, we've heard, yeah, he's gonna burn the car. Yeah, I'm just gonna go burn it. Like, that was that common? Like, was it that easy? Was it that easy to just burn your shit and insurance would be like, yeah, unfortunate. All right, we'll get you a new one or something.
Yeah, if you go to the Metropolitan of Fresh Pond Road, there's the train tracks, the LIRR right there, the freight trains.
Yeah.
You have more fucking burnt out cars there, you can imagine. Then in Glendale, there was another overpass. That was another spot we used, but you had to be careful because if that was a spot, it was just a matter of time. Auto crime would hang out there. You understand what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
We had to pick fucking spots, roll a car in the water, whatever the fuck it needed to do. It was $1,000. The guy tell you, hey, ride my car as much as you want, and then just fucking get rid of it, you know? So anyhow, my brother, I'm getting closer to my brother. There's 8 years, but at this point, we're getting closer. He's ready to open up a bar soon, and he's putting some money into that. He's like, let me get closer to my brother, Frankie, because, he's with him and Phil are like Irish twins. They're not that much difference. Not necessarily Irish twins, but under a year, but they're close in age, so they're always together. But there's more commonality between me and my brother Joe. So he goes, take the car. I said, okay, I'm driving tonight. Now, if anybody knows me, I'm not the best fucking driver in the world. In the city, I'm like, fuck this,
Yeah.
I said, but okay, I'll drive tonight. We're going to Cafe Society. What's the big fucking deal, right? So the kid, FASA, whatever the fuck you want to call him, he lives a block away. I pick him up. He gets in there. And I ask him, hey, you got your gun with you? He goes, yeah. I said, no. Put it back. He goes, why? I got my brother's car. God forbid. We're only going to Cafe Society. Nothing's going to happen. Don't worry about it. I don't got mine. Come on. He comes back in. Then I pick up Joe at the bakery, which is like 2 blocks away from me. It's on Menahan and Grant. I told him, you got your gun with you? He goes, yeah, why? I said, no. Don't bring your gun. He goes, I got my brother's car. He goes, well, you want me to drive? No, I don't want you to drive. I said, just, I don't want to fucking get into an incident. We stop and there's fucking 4 people with guns in the fucking car. And we didn't even pick up the 4th guy yet. And that's a habitual fucking, when he dresses, he'll put on a shirt, get in your fucking car and says, hey, my shirt don't look good. And he'll go back inside. And now the next thing we know, we're there for fucking 30 minutes, right? Yeah. And then all hair or something, shoes, jeans. It's just, he was always like that. And I love this kid too, by the way. It's just fucking, you know, we're ex-friends now, you know? So I'm like, all right, we wait. He comes out. I go, bro, you got your gun with you? He goes, yeah. I go, no. I go, no, don't. Just put it there. We're just going to the fucking over the bridge. And that's it. So we go. This is somebody was watching these guys. They were very lucky. It's a Lincoln Continental, a black one, with a whole bunch of black guys in there that look like they played on the fucking Jets. Okay.
Jeez.
We're dressed up. The guy looks at Nat. He's in the passenger seat, and he goes, "Hey," he goes, "Yo, yeah, because I don't like you." And Nat looks at him. We're like in a red light. Nat looks at him. You don't like me? He goes, "Yeah, I don't like you, motherfuckers." All right. You know, I'm like this at this point. I'm like, why didn't we take these fucking guns? We would have liked these motherfuckers out there. Why? So the guy comes out the fucking car, like towards the car, and I'm the first car at the light. Mind you, I don't drive that good. I'm like, oh fuck. He comes out, and Nat rolls down the window and clams right in the fucking guy's fucking face. Poof, you know. I said, oh, shit. I see like 5 of these motherfuckers coming out, like, you know, the front line of the Giants. I take off, and we're laughing, and I'm taking off, and they're fucking chasing us, like, block by block. I don't know how the fuck. I'm riding on sidewalks, you know what I mean, with this little and I'm hearing it from them. I know we should have brought that fucking guy. I know we should have fucking lit these motherfuckers up. Everybody's pissed off. We go back home. I said, come on, let's go get my car. We go get my car. We leave that there. We get the guns. We're pissed. We're gonna fucking go fucking light these motherfuckers up. No.
Yeah.
And we go back to Cafe Society with my car, and we just looked for them for a while. We couldn't find the black Lincoln because they would have had a nice surprise.
And you guys definitely would have done that, right?
Yeah, without a fucking doubt, they would have been lit up like nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it's reverse racism. It's kind of shit you see in jail when you're in a jail where it's the other way around. You know what I mean? I felt that they were the smallest guy was 6'2".
Yeah.
They'd seen the way we dressed. They seen the car. And they felt, hey, let's fuck with these white boys. You know, God was watching them. You know, they throw a shot. They throw a shot. They throw a punch or something. We're throwing. Okay, granted, there was 22s and 25s. That's what we had on them. But that's what it was. So we got lucky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at this point, that's where we're hanging out. Now, at Cypress Avenue, right across the street from the coffee shop, is a bunch of Yugoslavian kids. Couple I knew from back in the day. When I mean Yugoslavians, because that's what they were when we grew up there. There was no Serbia, there was no Croatia, there was no Montenegro, Bosnia. They were Yugoslavians. They all hung out together. But they separated during that war. So the Croatian kids went with the Croatian kids. With the Serbian kids, that they had a video store. And this kid Sasha had that video store right there. They got along with one of Vito Grimaldi's right-hand man at the time, who was Joe Galante Sr. And Joe Galante Sr. used to go over there and ask him for favors, and I got acquainted with this kid, especially Sasha. Sasha was a very, very cool-ass fucking cat. You know what I mean? He was that guy that he comported himself well, spoke well, and he was a master fucking car thief, and so was his crew of guys. He had a whole bunch of crew of guys with him.
Yeah,
And
how
they were-
long, if you could average, like, based on most of the Yugoslavians, how long do you think they were in this country, in New York, let's say?
They were first generation, but some of them were born on the other side, but came very young.
Okay, sort of like you.
Yes, yeah. Matter of fact, some of them I knew playing soccer
Cool.
or seeing them around. I knew them very well, you know. But that's what they were. So the Yugo kids, they had the Galante Senior, they had Galante Junior, Joe Galante Jr., who would come around so much. He grew up more like in the East New York, Ozone Park side of town. And he's also Castellamese like myself. So we had that commonality as well. Like Joe Galante Sr., for example, he worked the farms with my father when he was a kid out in Castellamare del Golfo. You know, so we were close. We were fucking close. He was their rabbi, if you will. You know, nobody could go to Vito Grimaldi and talk to themselves. You had to be close to him, like a me, or eventually Nat, or obviously his son. And there was a nephew too, John, who wouldn't get involved, but he would hang out. Really, really nice guy, actually. And we would hang out. That was my new spot. It was getting to be my new spot. I was starting to hang out with these guys, feeling good about it. Even the Yugoslavian kids I like. There was Pedge, who we talk about. He hung out there. There was another kid, Emil. There was a kid, Spider, who I liked at first. I gave him the nickname because he was like in Goodfellas, the guy who would go back and forth to give us drinks.
Yeah.
But he was a gypsy. He was a Yugoslavian gypsy, and a very good car thief. But his problem was he would get a car, like let's say dress up to the nines, get a stolen car, didn't even tag it or nothing like that. You know what I mean? Tagging.
Of course.
He wouldn't tag it. He'll drive it around for 3 months. Wash it, bring it to the car wash, and then put with the fucked up plates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get busted. He just was that guy. He was a funny ass kid. And then there was Joe. Joe Flea was one of the few Italian guys that hung out with them. Real close to Sasha. Good kid. That's Frank Catania's kid. The one that we mentioned that has the coffee shop.
Yeah. So, like, with this new group, well, not new group, because I know you've known these guys for a very long time outside of, like, you really hanging out a lot now. What is the money making venture mostly?
Oh, these guys are doing everything. Credit cards, mostly card thieving, tagging, fake registrations, fake licenses, or getting somebody DMV. They had cops on a payroll. I opened my eyes. These guys have a video store and you got all this. Yeah, what do you need? Anything? They were really nice and friendly. You were a happier group than the group I was coming from. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, that's the sense that I get. That's why I asked you before if they're like more mature. So what's with the video store? Let me hear about this. I miss video stores, by the way.
Now the video store was a front for him, for Sasha. He owned it. He bought it up these other two Italian guys that had it before him. As a matter of fact, the place was red, white, and green. Sasha was the type that he wishes he was Italian. You know, my Uncle Frank loved him. He was going out at one time with his secretary, Anna, and he just thought he was comported himself well. He had the presence. He walked in, he was and he was a nice guy. Sasha was a nice guy. He had to, but it was a front. They would have weed. They would have anything, burglarize places, get credit cards and fucking max them out. They were anything except really the violent stuff. You know what I mean? If they had a fight, they'd fight. They had shootout already at a Papagallo's club one time. Well, I was the one who was actually shooting, but we were there. They were there. They were okay with it. You understand what I mean?
Yeah. So let me ask though, like, so you started hanging out with Yugoslavians, but they were. Well, go ahead.
Yes, because I was the last one to go home at night. So when these guys, my friends, my core friends, would hang out. Nat, Joe, his cousin John, or anybody else, I was the last one there, and I would hang out with them. And if there was something to do, I was always down to do it. We had Mark Terragosa. Don't let me, I knew all my life. And Marky, another Italian kid, kind of a free agent, goes all over the place, gets involved with Pizza Caro and the other guy, Caniglia, Charles. So he gets around, and he's been in jail. He's been in Rikers. He went through the upstate New York. He got arrested with one Joe Galante's brother, Anthony, another legitimate tough kid. I think they did they did a home robbery, and they had a blowtorch with them, and the guy wouldn't open the fucking safe, so they started fucking blowtorching him until he opened it up. And they didn't get too far. He ended up dead in like 5 years, Mark, and so did Anthony. They got arrested together. So they would hang out there. Those were like the violent. I mean, Mark could be violent. Anthony was definitely violent. They grew up in Ozone Park around Caniglia and Zaccara. All of them two, that's how they knew him.
Yeah, that's definitely. Those guys are certainly violent.
Yeah.
Well,
Fuck a
so
fight.
here.
There's no in between. You know what I mean? But we were usually going to clubs at that point with stolen cars too. I remember there was these two. We went to Goldfingers in this city, right? So, and I drove one car. I told you I'm not the best driver. Another guy drove another car. I was half cracked, like 4 or 5 drinks on me. Something I would never do today again. Drive drunk. That's one of the things I really, really fuck that.
Put yourself in danger. You put others in danger for sure.
Crime is one thing. You kill an innocent man, an innocent woman, kids, God forbid. That'll be with you for the rest of your life. I would want to die right there anyway, so I just don't do it,
Yeah.
Like I said, we go into clubs with stolen cars. So one day they stole these 2 cars, and these weren't even tagged yet or nothing. In other words, they were alive, and if they pulled you over, there's no pulling over. Keep going. You understand? So we go to Goldfingers, and Goldfingers in the city have valets. So we go to the valets. The guy comes out there, and I go, "What's up?" He goes, "Hey, good." He goes, "You got the car?" We had the keys in them and everything. What the keys? I go, "Yeah, here's the key." He goes to me, "Thanks, Doc," like doctor. I said, "What fucking guy? Wise ass to say call me a doctor?" Yeah, all right, thank you. And he's pulling away with the car. They got empty plates. I don't even have hair on my fucking face. The empty plates.
Yeah, doctor.
Look at me. I'm driving to Menahan with no fucking hair on my face. Empty fucking plates.
Jeez.
Yeah, well, it's just the
you probably could have went faster. Oh, he's a surgeon. He's in a rush.
Yeah, I gotta go now. Right, exactly.
I gotta go operate.
Yeah, no. Well, back then they said MD is stolen. All of a sudden they put on the fucking light. You're fucked.
Yeah.
That's so that's what's going on with us. Basically, and I'm getting friendly with these guys, especially Sash. And Sash and Paul don't get along. That's a battle that Sash wouldn't win because Paul was banging his girlfriend, And not only that, to make things worse, when he would see him like at the diner, he would throw fucking packets at them. And I told him, guys, why the fuck you even bother with the guy? Don't even go there if he's gonna be like that. Because then I talked to Paul, just leave him the fuck alone. And that sometimes that could have been good. It depends if Paul needed anything from us. That sometimes that could have been bad. And we were like, what the fuck you tell me to do? I'll do whatever the fuck I want to do, But he was just that guy. Paul was. He could be that. He could be it. So that's how that was. And we'll get back to that. But let's go with Anthony now. Anthony Tabita goes to jail, right?
Yeah.
He goes to Rikers for, I don't know at the time. He went to Rikers for about 6 months because that's normal. And then he goes to this place called Kaksaki, Little Cambodia. Now, if you're familiar with Kaksaki, it's usually for violent offenders, but not maximum offenders. Younger offenders, and it's like a juvenile detention, but for a little bit of older group of kids. So you got the worst of the 5 boroughs out there. And when he gets there, he meets Mike Antonucci, who's David's and Kevin's younger brother. This other kid, John Jack from Greenpoint, another nut. So he gets a gig when he's there. They go, hey, Anthony, you think you could get us some fucking drugs in here? We could sell them. We could run shop, and we could do whatever, weed, whatever we could do. He goes, yeah, let me talk to Fabio. Fabio comes there. Goes, look, I hooked up with this Puerto Rican kid. He's a shot caller here. Anthony's telling Fabio that. He goes, can you go over there and get some heroin? Bring this woman some heroin. And that's when she goes to see her man in jail in Katsaki, Puerto Rican chick in the Bronx. She'll give it to her man, and her man will give it to me, and I'll sell. He goes, yeah, sure. You want the heroin? He goes, okay. He wanted them in tennis balls, though. So he gets it done. Fabio gets it done, meets with this chick, and gives Anthony the heroin. And he becomes like an instant celebrity in there. You know what I mean?
Tennis balls. How's that work exactly?
I don't know how they fucking sold him or whatever. They got it done. That's what they were putting him in, tennis balls.
Nice.
They go in there. They had it in with the CEO. Boom. There you go. He's running sports there. He makes Paul run a book. He goes, Paul, I'm going to call you up and take these bets. Or come here, whatever, every day. Takes these bets and put him in. And I got everybody betting. He's getting real popular. Anthony's getting popular in there, but it's you know, he's still in jail. The only thing is he doesn't have his girl, who he misses a lot at the time. He spends about a year in there, all in all. But this is the time, and I kind of remember. Yeah, with his girl, he keeps on bugging Fabio about his girl. He goes, how the fuck do you guys let my girl ride around with her new boyfriend around the neighborhood and you guys don't do nothing? I know you say, I'm getting it back. Why don't you guys go after him? He goes, Fabio goes, well, I'll talk to the guy. All right. He doesn't know. I'll talk to him. Okay. These guys ain't going out no more. I'll let that happen. Meanwhile, I remember Anthony telling me years back that he was reading the paper and something hit him. And you know, this is in regards to Sammy getting killed. He felt he knew who did it, how it went, because they went through practice runs together on the Sammy DeFalco. But with the thing that stuck out, he goes, he's seen the awning on the Nino's Cafe.
Yeah.
The old Palmetto and Fresh Pond spot.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Giannini's. And that's what the tarp was. He said, oh, fuck. He goes, wow. He's seen it in the paper. He goes, that's where they must have killed him. And he just, yeah. He was like, wow. He's seen the tarp. It was public knowledge. And he put two and two together. They told him probably, hey, let me go check out the spot. And whoever killed him went with him at there. I don't know who it is. And I still don't know who it is. But this is what the government's telling. And whoever went with them showed him the building. And he ended up getting killed there. That was the government's case.
Right, because, you know, as far as the government knew from Anthony, he was approached to do it, but he was no chance. He went to jail. He went to prison.
He went to prison. Yep.
Right.
And you know, that's the way that government report was written, you know, and it's basically based on their testimony or their debriefings. Anyway, at this time, Fabio runs into this kid, the boyfriend, says, hey, don't leave the fucking girl alone, bro. And if you're gonna hang out with her, he has like a Mustang convertible. He goes, which a lot of people did back then, or the rich kids anyway. He goes, just go another place. Don't ride around this neighborhood. Okay, the kid goes, yeah, no problem. I got you. He goes, okay, yeah, so good. He calls back, Anthony, I took care of it. Don't worry. He sees this kid again on Metropolitan and around the old Colombo Club, the one that Dennis Gazzardo had, right by the funeral parlor. He sees him with the girl again. He goes, look at this motherfucker. He really doesn't fucking learn. He stops his fucking car. He goes in there and he starts beating the shit out of the kid right there. He gives him a fucking beating and a half. He goes, what the fuck did I tell you? What the fuck did I tell you? He goes, what are you, fucking retarded? Girl screaming, trying to hit him too, you know. Real pretty girl. She had a pretty sister too. There's like, you know, and he's just beat the piss out of him, you know. And now let's talk about Vito. Fabio and Vito, like I said, have similarities. They work out. They don't drink. They don't smoke. It's like a mini-me, you understand? Fabio's a little bit louder than Vito. Vito's not that loud, but they have this bond. They're involved in 3 murders at this time, and they're getting their little cruise together. The Fabio's club, one day he rides past the club with Vito, and there's a fucking whole bunch of cops there and a bomb squad there. He goes, well, let's keep going. There's bomb squads in that club where they kill those two guys, Ruisi and what's the other fucking Ruisi and Agnazi. So there's that's on Elliott and Metro. Right. A whole bunch of fucking cars there. They go, what the fuck, cop cars? Well, the inspector went in there to look at the building, and as he goes into the bathroom, there's a whole bunch of pineapples, right? They're they go off, and a hand grenade. So he goes, fuck that, we're not going. They closed the whole fucking block down, and they didn't even. Yeah, they had a rifle underneath the foosball table. They didn't even fucking get that, and they closed the place down. You know, Fabio at the time had there was a whole bunch of vending machines. So his sons in the place, they were like high tech for the time. Some Jewish guy put him there. So they ended up going there at night and taking them out and selling them. You know, they were just fucking out of their minds. Got a whole bunch of young kids. So, you know, their young crew, which was actually Joe Shalara's friend. So this young crew consisted of like Lindemann, Brian Lindemann. He was part of that crew. Joe Corrado, Peter Capri, Teddy the Greek was more of a Vito guy, the Kid Majota, the Kid Reno. They all were into like finagling, doing all this stuff, robbing machines and then selling them. They would rob machines, these Joker Poker machines, take the brain of the machines, the boards, and then sell them to other vendors who wouldn't tell on them. Like my cousin Phil would buy boards, Phil Navarro, because he was in that business. So he would buy boards and give them money for it. They were all close. They were all networking at that time. The tentacles of them, it was like a pyramid. You know, you had Vito, because he could control Anthony Fabio. You had Paul, who beat at his own drum. You know what I mean? Then you had Joe Shalaro, who had these Middle Village younger kids with him. And Clemenza, who was Joe Shalaro's buddy, but also with Fabio. And so when Anthony comes, this is the new clique. And those kids that I mentioned, those younger kids, they're starting to form. I got my little crew of fucking Yugoslavians and with the Joe Gamali and our friends doing our thing. And you got these guys that I grew up with. So things are starting to get real serious. Among them, you got Vito and Joe O'Kane. Like I said, two of the toughest guys hand-wise that people, like I said it before, people ask, who were the strongest guys? Who were the toughest guys? By far. They weren't part of us growing up, by far. Joe O'Kane was a fucking terrific athlete. Somebody I miss a lot and love. What happened to him, and eventually we will discuss, really broke my heart. And Vito, all right? Somebody was telling me they seen them fight two bouncers one time, and it was one of the most brutal fucking fights. One of them got their foot stepped on. They took the guys outside. They didn't fucking. Vito had a gun. He said, "Fuck it, let's fight them." He gave the gun to the kid that was there, and he said, "Come on, let's fight." At the end, they fucking beat the shit out of these guys. At the end, Vito was beating the one guy with the fucking garbage. So they just had this fucking brutal strength and a lot of anger, you know. So that's who they were. And this is what we were at right now. You know what I mean?
So who else is around at this time? What's going on with your brothers? Are they hanging out with you guys at all? Is there like a crossover there as well?
Well, my brother gets involved as well with these guys in some money-making schemes. He's like, when he needed a couple of guys, he'd go to them. He was more involved at this point with the Fabio, Paul, Joe Shalara clique than I was, you know. So he had a best man named Jesse James they were doing shit together. And we'll talk about that. They're extorting. They're burning up places, breaking places down, making money, you know, and they're doing it all together. They're creating this network. It's crazy. And they're, like I said, they're fencing stuff off my cousin, you know, the machines. And I'm like, well, whose machines they're stealing? You know what I mean? They're stealing basically people who are not around people. But if there was somebody who was around somebody, they didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, so wait, so they're stealing machines, and who are they selling them to? People that aren't around, like people that are way outside the realm of that life, that circle?
Well, until Fabio gets smart. Fabio goes to me one day. He goes, "Hey, you want to take a ride with me? I got to go to the city. I got to go see some guy about burning a place down." I go, probably back then I would have probably been what? You got to burn it today? Like now, 5? No. He just wants me to. I got to go talk to him. Some Indian guy. You want to come with me? I said, "Yeah, come on, let's go." So this guy, it's a cab place. He goes to meet this guy, and he's looking around. He's like in awe. He goes, "What the fuck? How many Pakistani Indians is there in this fucking joint?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "There's a lot of these fuckers here. Look at him." And he introduces himself. "Hey, I'm so and so's friend." He meets the guy. The guy goes, "Hey, you here? You think you could handle that? I need you to burn my fucking wife's house down because we're going through a divorce. I want to send a message. Somebody recommended." He goes, "Yeah. But before that," he goes, "How many people in here, man? Fucking what are they?" "Yeah, this is like a taxi cab rest stop for them. They're people that we know. They're playing cards, hanging out, smoking cigarettes, whatever." He goes, "How about if I put some machines in here?" He goes, "What kind?" "Like gambling machines. I'll give you such a much. I give you this amount of money, and we'll go 50-50. It's a lucrative thing." Man, that fucking kid, he was smart like that. He was a good businessman. He had like fucking 4 machines upstairs, 4 machines downstairs. He was making at least 15 to 20,000 a week.
So he had all these cabbies, all these Indian guys
In the machines,
gambling their fucking lives away, probably, unfortunately, on these
right. They
machines.
were making fast, making money. There was
Yeah.
no kidding, man. There was at least 50, 60 of them. That's
Could
a
you
lot.
hit it though? Could you have a good night on the Joker poker machine?
Well, if they paid 25% what was coming in, so for every 1,000 they were paying 250. For every
Okay.
10,000 they were getting 2,500.
2,500. Yeah.
So I mean,
All right.
it's like that. So the guy goes, "Well, you're gonna burn the place down?" He goes, "Yeah, no problem. Don't worry. You don't even have to pay me for that." He goes, "We're in," and he ended up burning the fucking woman's house down, some way or the other. But that was that. Yeah, so they were really, really doing a lot of damage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And,
So
you can see me right now. We're gonna end it with pretty soon. The cops are snooping around, and we talk about being spoofed. And I don't think we talked about this yet, but there was Sal Montana, who was Baldo's like right hand man. He got spoofed. We talk about Rick getting spoofed. After Sammy happened with Sammy, you kind of not thought something happened. He was involved, but the way he was acting suspicious. He almost had a nervous breakdown. He kind of got chased. I seen him later on. He had like a fucking beard. It was some weird shit. You know what I mean? Theories whether he knocked up a girlfriend of Gumata his, and that was fucking getting to him. And then there was Cafe Village where my uncle held court with Mikey Boots, who I would go see every time I was in trouble. The guy Mike opened up the place, but my uncle was his guy, so he would hang out there. It was near his house. It was called Cafe Village in Middle Village.
okay.
And that was where my uncle, every time he fucking wanted to see me, I had to go there. I dreaded that fucking place. And the Baccarat was changing venues next to the following year. So a lot of shit was going on. Baldo didn't want the game at his place anymore. And to me, if I wasn't gonna work the Baccarat at Giannini's, I didn't want to be there no more. It was getting hot. And when I mean hot, a lot of police surveillance, especially after Sammy was killed. My friends weren't making it fucking easy, and maybe me either. Eventually, me, yeah. So I'm like going towards Cypress. I'm hanging out in Cypress more and more and getting closer to Vito Grimaldi, but not much. I'm still around my uncle at this time, but things change eventually, and I'll get to that. Yeah, that's how it was. A new venue kind of for me. I was hanging out more with these guys. And I was hanging out on Cypress and Menahan at Cafe Vita Mia.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to Ridgewood, A True Story, Season 3, Episode 1, Cypress and Menahan.